Are mermaids real? The question that's been asked ever since Odysseus set forth on some sort of odyssey? I don't know, I preferred To Kill a Mockingbird. I watched a lot of Animal Planet as a kid. Don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that I didn't also watch Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network. But what kid doesn't want to know that once a female ferret goes into heat and it doesn't mate, then it dies? What does that mean? I don't know, I'm 11. I mean, did you even have a childhood if you didn't grow up watching Drake and Josh, Hannah Montana, and Fatal Attractions? You see, Animal Planet was a little lenient when it came to what was acceptable for a channel that had animal in half of its title. Cats from Hell? Okay, makes sense. Hillbillies hand fishing? Not really my speed, but okay. Treehouse Masters? You can honestly assume that any show that's been aired on Animal Planet will also be aired on Discovery Channel. They're basically the same thing at this point. It's honestly kind of funny how different some of the programming is. Like, catch me watching The Puppy Bowl at 7 and Monsters Inside Me at 8. Also, side note, but the guy that narrated this show is named Justin Peed. I mean, come on, tell me he didn't get bullied when he was growing up. One show, or documentary rather, that I remember watching as a kid on Animal Planet was Mermaids, The Body Found. And I just want to know, why was this allowed on Animal Planet? It's all pretty standard for a show discussing this sort of thing, like, you know, a creature that most people probably don't think is real, but it's fun to imagine, right? Like Bigfoot. Fake? I mean, yeah, but that doesn't mean there's not still people out there looking for him. The story is, these scientists were tasked by NOAA to check out these whales that had been beached, supposedly because of Navy sonar, and then they get a recording and hear a strange noise that isn't like what they usually hear, and then somehow they end up getting the remains of a supposed mermaid, hence the body found, and they do their little science thing like, it's not a seal, it's not a manatee, what is it? But what if it's a mermaid? And then the government comes and takes everything. And the thing is, at some points it seems real, or at least very similar to real life events that have happened that could convince an impressionable child or just a very gullible adult that it is in fact real. At least until something like this happens. So you think it's fake, right? Like, obviously fake? Yeah, it's fake. Not just the hand hitting the window, not just this terrifying clip that will forever be burned in the back of my brain. Even the scientists are just actors. Someone called Frankie Muniz, because we got a big fat liar. As a matter of fact, they actually say at the beginning that it's not real, and Google labels it as a docu-fiction. Excuse me? You can do that? Sure, there's mockumentary. There was a show pretty popular a few years ago. I don't really remember what it's called though. But the thing is, those usually had like a layer of satire to it. So you knew that it wasn't real. And it was obviously not real, right? Like, this Modern Family isn't actually being followed by cameras with everything they do. The issue is, to me at least, the way it's all packaged. For starters, when my 11-year-old self sat down to watch Animal Planet, I just automatically assumed that two things were true. One, it was going to be about animals, which we already established isn't true. And two, that things were going to be, I don't know, real, factual, at least leading me to make my own conclusion. See, in a show like Finding Bigfoot, for example, they can look for that son of a gun all they want. 100 episodes to be specific. But the thing is, they never actually find him. That's why it's called Finding Bigfoot. This is called Mermaids, The Body Found. Oh, you actually found one? Oh, no, it's just CGI and phony fishermen. It also just feels kind of real. Like, yeah, as an adult, I can tell something's fishy. But you still wonder, sure, the clips aren't real, but there's still kind of something that makes you want to believe. Maybe the clips that they're showing aren't actually real, but they're based on real events that happen to actual people. So obviously it's not a real clip, but maybe the story of them finding the sound or exploring the beaches are real, you know? We don't know what parts are fiction and what parts are factual, if any, and the title card doesn't really do much to help clarify. I was pretty smart when I was younger, but I was still a kid, so while I would like to think that I believed they were full of garbage, maybe there was a part of me that thought it was real and actually believed it. Of course, skimming past the opening card, because what kid really wants to read when they sit down to watch TV? At least they point out that the sonar and beach whale part is real, right? The part that has nothing to do with mermaids. They literally talk about all of the accounts of mermaids being documented up into the 19th century by real people, but then they show this clip literally right after, and guess what? I lied before. I totally thought this shit was real. At the end of the day, what am I gonna do? Sue Animal Planet? It's like, why couldn't have this just been on the Sci-Fi Channel or something? Like, things like this are the sole reason that channel exists. I'm actually not the first to raise complaints about this either. First of all, a YouTuber already made a video about this, so I'll be sure to link the video in the description, but there have also been a couple articles about it too. One was written at the time of it being released, being like, don't worry guys, it's actually not real. And another one written a few years after the fact, stating the, I guess, like, damages that things like this and other documentaries like it can do. And like, yeah, obviously I was upset about it too. That's why I've been rambling about this entire time. But then at the end of the day, is it really that deep? I mean, look at this. However, interestingly enough, both articles claim that there were no indications of the documentary's fallacy until right before the end credits rolled. So if that's true, maybe they went back after the fact because of the backlash that they got of people thinking it was real. One of the articles even mentions that Mermaids the Body Found was the most successful Animal Planet show to air at its time, which is honestly kind of crazy. But when they did hype it up to be this huge thing, like, guys, we finally got proof that mermaids are real, for all of it to just end up being fake, then I guess you can see why so many people were hyped up for it. Okay, that's all I have to say about mermaids. But there is one more show that I remember from my Animal Planet days that's honestly along very similar lines to mermaids, and that's a show called Lost Tapes. The only thing that I remember from the show is that it was one of those that you watched at midnight when nobody else in the house was awake, and you just hid under a blanket completely still because you knew if you moved you would get killed by, I don't know, a monster or something, because that's just how logic worked back then. On a rewatch, Lost Tapes actually has a lot of parallels to mermaids, but Lost Tapes goes for a more like found footage approach, which really just makes it scarier because there's always an aspect to found footage that is going to be scarier than like an actual like well set up and well shot movie or show. And they can also afford for it to look bad because it's just supposed to be little Johnny recording on his flip video camera. Each episode was about a different type of cryptid, which up until this point, I had no idea there were so many. A cryptid is just like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. It's funny because there's the ones that like everybody knows about, like Bigfoot, the Kraken, a Chupacabra, a Southern Sasquatch, which I think is cheating because that's just Bigfoot but from the South. Then there's one about the Oklahoma octopus, which you would think they just made up because it sounds more like a AAA baseball team, but then it turns out to actually be a real thing. Along with the found footage, they also intersplice experts talking about that creature for that week and just sort of the history behind it and maybe reasons why it actually could maybe be real. I don't explicitly remember any episodes from when I was a kid, so I just chose the highest rated one on IMDb, and that just happens to be the one about vampires. They open with a very vague statement, not explicitly saying it's not real, but either way, like I said, what kid is reading these anyway? After that, it goes into a little history about vampires, like, oh, why do people think they're real? Because there are people who like to drink blood, and a really long time ago, someone got bricks shoved in mouth. This is just the Cliff Notes. And then the Marvel legend shows up. Like, deadass, tell me that is not Dr. Michael Morbius. After the intro rolls, they waste absolutely no time to get into it. Oh my god. Then we get into the actual plot of the Lost Tape, which is basically a family moving into a new house. And the acting, honestly, isn't terrible.
This door won't open!
Just really put your shoulder into it. You can do it.
That's the look of a child tired of their dad filming their every move. It's sort of like a precursor to family vlogging, except the horrors of the Ace family are actually real. The story goes, the kid has a problem with sleepwalking, so to keep him safe, I guess they put up a security camera in his room. Yeah, the one thing a child going into middle school needs is less privacy. And the funny thing is, the part about him sleepwalking never comes up again. It's just so they could set up the security camera in his room and have a reason to have footage showing them in there. After a little more history about vampires, they cut to security footage in the kid's room. Is he gone? Not even that scary. So he screams, and obviously his parents come running into his room, and he says that there's something in his room with him, and his dad just shuts him down immediately.
You know, I don't think that there's any monsters in here, champ.
Are you dumb? What, you think there's something in here, stupid?
Is that what you heard? Is that it? You know what that is? That's probably just something like raccoons or something.
Oh, that wet slapping that's on the roof? It's just raccoons, you idiot. So the next day, Eddie, the kid, is looking for his teddy bear Ruggles. But in the meantime, the mom finds it torn to shreds and thinks that Eddie did it. And then the dad's like, nah, he's fine. I'll just have him help me fix up the house like I used to do with my dad.
I remember fixing things with my dad and I loved it. It was great. I promise you, we're going to be so close at the end of this.
It's just strange that the first thing Eddie didn't do was go to his mom to see if she knew where it was. I just feel like that's what most kids would do. Also, I presume they're implying that the vampire did this. In that case, what the fuck does he have against a stuffed teddy bear? If that's all he's planning on doing, then these guys got off easy. Eddie finds the pest control guy in the basement, and then he explains how he uses his snare pole.
This is my snare pole.
To catch, in his words,
Squirrels or raccoons or rats.
You're telling me you're gonna use that thing to catch a squirrel? I mean, maybe a raccoon, but that's something animal control uses to catch dogs, maybe cats, not fucking rodents.
Oh, hey, listen, give me some space, okay? I'm gotta get this while I hear him right there, all right? So maybe go find your mom or dad, okay?
Okay, now run along. I'm trying to do my job and probably get killed by a vampire while I'm at it. Every time something happens, it's almost impossible to tell what's going on, but still kind of off-putting. The family starts to wonder where the exterminator went, so the mom tells the dad to go find him, but then the dad tells Eddie to go just look in the basement while he looks in the attic.
Okay, I'll go check up in the attic. Eddie, go check the basement.
Basement?
Yeah, the basement.
You scared? Scared of the little basement? Nerd. Why does it sound like the dad's in on it?
Yeah, the basement.
Like, if he's a vampire, that'll be the twist of the century. So Eddie wanders into the hole in the wall and then I guess stumbles into a vampire, just like trips right over him. But once again, I can't tell what's going on. Me every time I shut the lights off in the basement and need to get upstairs. Looks like they never got that door taken care of. The vampire absolutely demolishes the door, and then the dad just stabs it with a piece of wood that I guess he got from the door breaking, because wooden stakes kill vampires. But also, I don't think the material doors are made out of are usually strong. They're just pretty flimsy, actually. Then they hug and it's happily ever after. After that, we go into the prologue where we learn the exterminator actually had a name.
The body of exterminator Stan Polanski was recovered, mysteriously drained of blood.
Mysteriously drained of blood. Weird. I wonder what could have possibly done that.
Police conducted a thorough search of the house, and though the mysterious nests were located, no unknown creatures were found.
No unknown creatures were found? Not even the body of the one that the dad just murked upstairs?
Or if they live among us.
Come on. That's Lost Tapes. Overall, I'd watch more. Do I think these creatures are real? No. But believe it or not, it's honestly not a bad show. It would definitely lack a little substance if they didn't have the experts mixed in, like explaining the history and some examples of historic vampires like Dracula and stuff like that. So I'm glad they did have those parts in it. If this is your type of thing, like cryptids and stuff, or you just feel like getting a little bit spooked, I definitely recommend watching at night, but this will definitely do it for you. Wait, what was this video about again? Oh yeah, Animal Planet. Yeah, why'd they do this? I don't know. That's it. There's no real conclusion here. I hope I didn't drone on too long. I hope something was at least a little entertaining. I hope I wasn't too rusty. It has been a little over 6 months since my last upload. Hopefully not another goes by the time my next one is. And thank you all for 300 subscribers, and peace.